You're listening to Week in Review on 90.3 WRST, the radio station of the Titans. Week in Review is a 30-minute student-run news program that focuses on stories from the UW Oshkosh campus, the city of Oshkosh, state and national headlines, as well as a weekend weather forecast. Week in Review can be heard every Friday from 5 to 5:30 p.m. on 90.3 WRST-FM, the Radio FX app, or streamed on 90.3 WRST.org. This week's news starts now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Friday. It is great to be here for the first episode of Week in Review for the spring 2024 semester. I'm your host and WRST News Director, Jacob Link, and this is my first ever episode of this program. We have a bunch of new students who will be contributing their voices on this show, and I can promise that you'll be accustomed to hearing from them throughout the semester as they have done a great job to begin the year. We have a lot to discuss tonight as President Joe Biden gave his State of the Union address on Thursday. The Wisconsin Supreme Court decided that it will not hear a case about redrawing congressional maps, and the UW Oshkosh women's basketball team will head to Maine to play in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. That's all coming up in this edition of Week in Review. Let's get right into the top stories of the week on the UWO campus. UW Oshkosh Provost Edwin Martini announced February 15th the university's plan to reshape the school's academic structure by January 2025, with one of two different models that would shift the university's colleges and schools. In an email sent out to students, Martini said, quote, "We spent months in an inclusive, collaborative, thoughtful process designed intentionally to protect programs and faculty positions. Our goal was to design new structures that explore additional ways to sustain and enhance UWO programs for the long term," end quote. Currently, Oshkosh is split into 4 academic colleges: the College of Business, the College of Education and Human Services, the College of Letters and Sciences, and the College of Nursing. Oshkosh also has an honors college. On their website, the UWO administration reported that the current academic structure is unbalanced. The College of Letters and Sciences is larger than the other 3 colleges combined and sports 226 tenure-track faculty, while the other 3 colleges have 90 in total. To fix this imbalance, the university has proposed 2 restructuring plans. The first restructuring plan, Model A, divides the university into 3 colleges and 6 schools. According to the administration's report, this would save UWO $1.75 million. The second plan, Model B, divides UWO into 3 colleges and 8 schools. The 3 colleges in this model are the College of Business, Science, and Technology, the College of Culture, Society, and Education, and the College of Nursing and Health Professions. This is estimated to save the university $1.5 million. Environmental Studies and History professor Jim Feldman, who served on the Academic Restructuring Committee, said he worked alongside a large group of faculty and staff from all over the university to create both plans.
Provost gave us some sort of design considerations, like he wanted to make sure, we have to reduce costs, reduce the number of chairs, create programs that are, sort of help make Oshkosh more regionally distinctive, to sort of make it stand out with its program offerings. Set students up for success, reduce barriers to graduation for students. Like, those are some of the things that were put in place. Like, whatever you come up with, it has to address these kinds of things.
Neither of these models will eliminate programs or faculty, and the report notes that some majors and programs are not shown on their models for simplicity. Additionally, the new programs will not force departments and programs to move their physical locations. Feldman said both the plans that are being considered will reduce the cost of instruction at the university.
Are they actually going to be that big a savings? I don't know. I think that's our projection based on the best work we can do now. But then there's a whole lot that still remains to be determined as we implement those changes. So I have no doubt that this will save money. I'm not sure it will save as much as is projected, but that's more of a hunch than it is based on fact.
Martini said in an email to students that while it has been a challenging time at UWO, the choices that campus administrators are making have been working. Martini said, quote, "UWO's structural deficit has been significantly reduced. We are on track to eliminate it next year when we take these final steps," end quote. Journalism professor Vincent Felix said the university had 2 very separate approaches with Model A and Model B of the academic restructuring.
there's one that is really streamlined to benefit students, one that is really meant to try to create that college to career path that he's been talking about, and one that's really looking at the idea of the most overall savings while making some smart decisions. The other one feels like we kind of have the same thing already now, and it's a rolling mess of just wedge everything into one giant college and hope for the best.
Felix said he encourages students to ask questions and think about where their major or area of study falls in both plans.
I think it's crucial to say, well, wait a minute, why here and not there? Or why is this and why not? Asking why questions gets you a lot of important answers. And I think that, by the time this thing rolls on through, students could make the argument, well, I'm going to be gone. Yeah, but you can make that argument about anything. And again, students have just as much of a right, if not more, to voice their opinion, because again, without you, we don't have this.
It is expected that transition and implementation teams will help carry out the restructuring by January 2025, according to the university's website. The UW Oshkosh Faculty Senate voted to move forward with the petition for a vote of no confidence on February 27th after a letter from Chancellor Andrew Levitt asked Faculty Senate President Pascal Manning not to do so. The Senate voted unanimously to keep the present language in place in the draft of the referendum and to continue the petition process outlined in the Faculty Senate Constitution. Manning said she'd deliver the text of the petition and referendum process to Levitt and Chief of Staff Alex Hummel on February 23rd.
During this meeting, the Chancellor requested a copy of the petition with signatures, which I declined to share. I explained that faculty have expressed concerns about retaliation, and I reasoned that given that the President of the Faculty Senate is the only individual named in relation to such a petition in the Faculty Constitution, I had deemed it my responsibility to certify the validity of the signatures, and I clarify now that those petitions have not been shared with anyone, including the Faculty Senate Executive Committee.
The Senate will have 2 open meetings for faculty members to voice their opinions on the proposed referendum before a faculty vote of no confidence will take place in a separate meeting. The vote will be anonymous and online, which will enable remote faculty to participate. The Faculty Senate will not be voting as a representative body of the entire faculty. Instead, faculty senators will be voting as faculty members on drafting the referendum. Manning received a petition from UWO faculty members on February 16th asking the Senate to draft a referendum of a vote of no confidence for Levitt's leadership. The petition was signed by 74 out of the 315 UWO faculty members, which was more than the minimum requirement of 10% of the faculty signatures needed to bring the document in front of the Faculty Senate for a vote. The document featured 9 reasons why members of the faculty lack confidence in Levitt's ability to effectively lead UWO and want to schedule a faculty referendum regarding his job performance. Levitt sent a letter to Manning that said the petition's 9 points were factually incorrect and that the Faculty Senate should, quote, cease any further action on the proposed referendum. Faculty Senator Stuart Cole said that there are issues with Levitt's claims that the petition has factual errors.
He wanted to say that he needed to support it. And so that part of his argument in his letter can't carry any weight because it's not substantiated.
Faculty Senator David Seamers said that the letter from Levitt shows how the Chancellor feels about the Senate.
He doesn't necessarily want to hear what we have to say. And we dinged him for that before as the Senate in 2019. And that doesn't happen on a drop of a hat. It happens after a long set of processes, procedures, disappointments that cover an awful lot of the campus. It happens after a pattern of behavior. And it's happened again.
In his letter to Manning, Levitt said that a referendum from the Faculty Senate is, quote, not the appropriate vehicle for a vote of no confidence, end quote. In his letter, Levitt said that it was Manning's duty to halt the no confidence referendum. Cole said that the pressure Levitt puts on Manning to shut down the no confidence vote is inappropriate.
Because that's not how the Senate operates. And it is essentially asking you to shut down the process, which has been initiated by over 20% of faculty, which would place you at odds with your own constituents in a pretty radical way. So I just think that needs to be, that in particular needs to be responded to, because it just didn't strike me as an appropriate request, given how democratically the Senate operates.
A referendum of a vote of no confidence by the Faculty Senate would be largely symbolic, since the UW Board of Regents is the only group with the authority to fire a Universities of Wisconsin chancellor. The Faculty Senate plans to meet March 12th in the Reeve Memorial Union at 3:10 p.m. Getting into news from around Wisconsin, the combined reward in the case of the Two Rivers toddler who vanished last month has risen to $25,000. Ted Allen has more.
City's police chief Ben Meinert said in a news release, a Manitowoc County Crime Stoppers reward for information leading to the location of Elijah Vu has risen to as much as $10,000. That reward is in addition to an FBI reward of up to $15,000 in the case. Tuesday marked 2 weeks since the 3-year-old boy became the subject of an Amber Alert after he vanished from a Two Rivers home. His mother, Katrina Bauer, and her boyfriend, Jesse Vang, have both been jailed on charges of child neglect. Ted Allen, Wisconsin Radio Network.
A vehicle of interest has been identified in the case of the missing Two Rivers toddler. Police there clarified that the beige 1997 four-door Nissan Altima that has become the vehicle of interest in the case of Elijah Vu is not owned by the child's mother, Katrina Bauer, or her boyfriend, Jesse Vang. The vehicle, which is currently in the possession of police, has a Wisconsin license plate beginning with the letter A and ending with the number 0. Police have not revealed details on why the vehicle is part of the investigation, but they have said that their interest is not with the current owner of the vehicle. In other news, Vice President Kamala Harris visited Madison on Wednesday. Bob Haig has more.
Kamala Harris was with apprentices at a construction site for Madison Metro.
The work that is happening here really is a wonderful example of so many of our administration's priorities, including the important collaboration between us at the federal level and leaders at the local level, like the mayor of Madison.
Harris was joined by Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway.
I just cannot state how important it is to have a partner in the White House who believes in cities.
The visit, the latest by administration officials in the critical state for Joe Biden's re-election. Bob Haig, Wisconsin Radio Network.
There are few details in a death at Waupun Correctional Institution. The February 22nd death of 62-year-old Donald Meyer at the Waupun prison is the fourth inmate death there in recent months. He was charged in the 1985 stabbing death of a man in Wisconsin Rapids, according to Department of Corrections records cited by the Journal Sentinel. The DOC did not comment on Monday, but a notice in the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune stated that Meyer died in his sleep. Last week, Wisconsin's Supreme Court decided that it will not redraw congressional maps. Bob Haig has more.
A unanimous court on Friday rejected a request to redraw the state's 8 congressional district lines ahead of the 2024 elections. The justices didn't offer an explanation for the decision to deny the petition from a group of Democratic voters after the liberal majority had previously ruled the state's legislative districts unconstitutional. 6 members of Wisconsin's House delegation are Republicans, 2 are Democrats. Democratic Attorney General Josh Kaul called the decision to not redraw the House maps disappointing. Bob Haig, Wisconsin Radio Network.
It has been unseasonably warm for this time of the year in Wisconsin, and pretty soon we'll have to get out our lawnmowers out of the garage. But instead of using a typical lawnmower, more and more Wisconsinites are turning to animal lawn mowing. Randall Davidson has more.
The lawn care resource group Lawn Love has ranked the best states for so-called animal lawn mowing. These are companies that provide rentals of grass-grazing ruminants like goats and sheep to keep lawns from looking unruly. Wisconsin ranks second overall for animal lawn mowing behind California. Interest in this industry is growing across the U.S., particularly as the sale of new gas-powered lawn equipment is being banned in some states. The researchers compared the 50 states and the District of Columbia based on access to animal mowing companies, average yard sizes, and local interest in sheep and goat rentals. In the access category, Wisconsin leads all states with 21 firms providing animal rentals. For average yard sizes, Wisconsin's figure of .43 acres came in at number 17. Experts say sheep are preferred for lawns, whereas goats work best for areas of brush and weeds. California came in first among states in overall rankings, but only has 13 animal rental firms at present. The District of Columbia came in last, which is unsurprising given that it's a densely populated area with the smallest yard size in the ranking. However, researchers noted that a flock previously grazed the White House South Lawn, and a local company is available today for Washingtonians seeking ruminant rentals. The entire survey is available at lawnlove.com. For WRST News, I'm Randall Davidson.
We'll now step aside for a quick break. When we return, we'll have our national headlines, a sports report from Sports Director Devin Mahalik, and the first ever Student Voices section of this program. You're listening to Week in Review on 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh.
So let me get this straight. You're a college student who is slammed with schoolwork and the last thing you're thinking about is listening to the radio. Or you're a parent and you have your hands full with the kids, your job, and you're going from the first alarm. Download the Radio FX app today and listen to 90.3 WRST on the go. Listen to the radio station of the Titans anywhere, anytime with the Radio FX app.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then, someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Keep on shuffling with us at 90.3 WRST-FM, the radio station of the Titans. 90.3 WRST, the best in college alternative.
Welcome back to Week in Review. I'm your host and news director, Jacob Link. Let's get right into the second half of our program with our national news. Getting right into our national news, President Joe Biden gave his State of the Union address Thursday night in the House chamber. Biden laid out his objectives as commander-in-chief for the next year and what he planned to do if he was elected for a second term. Biden covered a wide range of topics in his speech, including reproductive rights, border security, and the war in Ukraine. A significant part of Biden's speech dealt with Israel's 5-month war against Hamas in Gaza. He announced that the U.S. military will build a temporary emergency pier to help with the delivery of aid to civilians in Gaza. Biden said that no U.S. troops will be on the ground in Gaza.
Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza.
Alabama Senator Katie Britt delivered the Republican response to the State of the Union, calling Biden a, quote, dithering and diminished leader, end quote.
The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their American dreams.
Many GOP leaders were confused with Britt's dramatic speech, with conservative youth group leader Charlie Kirk saying that it was not the response Republicans needed. The Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump's actions in the January 6th attack on the Capitol cannot remove him from election ballots. Mike Clifford from Public News Service has more.
Former President Donald Trump victorious Monday when the Supreme Court ruled that his actions surrounding the January 6th attack on the Capitol cannot keep him from appearing on the ballot just a day before voters in the Centennial State head to the polls on Super Tuesday. David Becker is the executive director of the Center for Election Innovation and Research.
All 9 justices agreed that a single state did not have authority to remove a federal candidate from the ballot. That's the general holding, and ruled that Donald Trump must remain on the ballot in Colorado and elsewhere.
The former president had appealed a ruling by the California Supreme Court that disqualified him under the 14th Amendment's Section 3 the so-called insurrection clause of the Constitution.
In other news, according to the Associated Press, missile strikes from Houthi militants killed 3 civilians in Yemen. The missiles struck a commercial ship in the Gulf of Aden on Wednesday, killing 3 of its crew members and forcing survivors to abandon the vessel. This was the first fatal strike in a string of assaults by the Iranian-backed group over Israel's war in Gaza. The Super Tuesday primaries wrapped up on March 5th. Mike Clifford from Public News Service has more.
Last night, Nikki Haley got her first primary win in the state of Vermont, and today she's expected to suspend her campaign. CNN reports that the former South Carolina governor will announce that she is exiting the race, clearing the path for President Donald Trump. She's not expected to endorse Trump. Sources say instead she will call on the former president to earn the support of voters who backed her. Meantime, the big picture, former President Donald Trump upped his delegate count to 995, according to the New York Times, by winning the rest of the GOP primaries in 6 states. While the Times reports President Joe Biden rolled to big margin victories across the country, by the end of the night he swept all 15 states.
Sweden officially joined NATO on Thursday as the 32nd member of the Transatlantic Military Alliance. The country ended decades of post-World War II neutrality as security concerns in Europe have skyrocketed over Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. That does it for the national and international headlines. Let's get right into the Week in Review Sports Replay with WRST Sports Director Devin Mahalik.
Hello and welcome. This is Devin Mahalik, the Sports Director here at 90.3 WRST with this Week in Review Sports Replay. This week, let's discuss the women's basketball team after their first and second round victories at home this past weekend in the NCAA Division III Championship Tournament after beating Webster University in round 1 57-42 and then defeating on Saturday, March 2nd, Trine University in the second round 74-48. The women's basketball team cashes their ticket into some third round action in the NCAA Division III Championship Tournament against Smith College of Massachusetts, a 27-3 overall team this season with a 10-1 record in the New England Men's and Women's Athletic Conference. Smith 14th overall in the country, according to D3Hoops.com. Now, they haven't updated any of those rankings. The last update was February 25th, prior to first round action. So I would assume UWO and Smith bump up within that top 10 after surviving the first and second round. They take on Smith College in Brunswick, Maine this afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Time. We would like to stretch out our congratulations first off to the women's basketball team defeating and advancing in the round 3 action of the NCAA tournament, but also good luck to the ladies out in Brunswick, Maine. Hopefully they can remain alive in the tournament as they have a tough task ahead of them playing Smith College. So that'll put us to the final segment of the Week in Review. For this week, we will discuss the Milwaukee Bucks, who have another game on their West Conference California road trip. They take on the Los Angeles Lakers this evening at 9 p.m. They're coming off their loss this past Wednesday to the Golden State Warriors, 125-90. Felt like a trap game where the Warriors got blown out by the Celtics a couple days prior to this meeting, and the Warriors were hitting on all cylinders. Doc Rivers, the head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks, was disappointed in the efforts of his club this past Wednesday.
Due to our bad offense tonight. This is the first night in a long time where we just didn't play together, didn't move the ball, we forced actions. So I thought it was more of that.
This is the Bucks' first loss since the All-Star break after winning 6 in a row. They finally fall to the Golden State Warriors, 125-90. Like I mentioned, the Bucks take on the Lakers, LeBron, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and company out in LA this evening. Should be a battle to juggernaut. LeBron, 40,000 point scorer, leading scorer of all time. Should be a good one. Hopefully, Doc Rivers, Giannis, Dame, Pat Bev, and everybody can rally the troops and make up for a tough loss in Golden State. So, with this week's Week in Review in Sports. This is
Now
Ben,
it's time for
your
Week in
sports
Review's
director
first
at
ever
90.3
Student Voices
WRST,
portion of the
Devin
show.
Mahal.
I'm here live at the WRST-FM studios with Kelly Heckman, the managing editor of the UW Oshkosh campus newspaper, The Advanced Titan. Kelly, first off, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thanks for asking.
That's awesome, and I'm glad to have you on the air as the first guest of this semester's Week in Review show. I just have a few questions for you. The first one has to deal with the academic restructuring at UWO. What has been your takeaway from the different academic models, and how have students reacted to the two different models?
Yeah, so we finally got the two final models released a couple weeks ago, and I think people are pretty pleased to see that things are changing around here. It seems to be a little bit outdated and it hasn't working, so really updating our academic structure I think will do some benefit, and that's the general consensus I've heard from students around campus as well.
So then, what about the reaction from faculty members? How do they feel about the restructuring?
After the structures have been released, I haven't heard too much, but I know that the process of really rolling them out seemed a bit annoying for faculty members. They were just really waiting to see what students needed to do so they could graduate on time. That's generally what I heard from advisors, so I'm glad that it's out now, and I think they are too.
Switching topics, let's move on to the Faculty Senate's possible vote of no confidence in the leadership of Chancellor Andrew Leavitt. What is the general feeling that you get from faculty members regarding the petition and the no confidence vote?
I've heard a lot of mixed feelings about this vote of no confidence. From what I've gathered, the Faculty Senate seems to really want to move forward with this vote, and I think it's really great that they are exercising their civic engagement and just expressing their opinions. We need to keep all branches of UWO in check, and sometimes that means the Chancellor. However, I know that there have been some hesitations about this vote because it can really have a negative impact on UWO's reputation, and that can impact enrollment numbers, which have been declining, and we definitely need to see those numbers up. So yeah, it's a lot of mixed emotions towards this vote.
And then, how are students feeling about the situation when, they keep hearing about how their professors lack confidence in the Chancellor?
Yeah, so this has been a thing in the works sort of for the last couple semesters of the students feeling really low morale around campus. It was especially low last semester with all of the layoffs, and this semester as well with this possible vote of no confidence. And I think that students seeing such a high leadership position being questioned makes them question their education at UWO going forward.
Well, that does it for us with the Student Voices portion of Week in Review. Now here's your weekend weather forecast on 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh. Taking a look at the weather forecast, tonight the temperature will fall to 32 degrees with a 60% chance of precipitation that will most likely be a mix of rain and snow. Saturday will be mostly sunny with a high of 44. Saturday night will be mostly clear with a low of around 27. Sunday will be sunny with a high near 47 degrees and a low of around 29 degrees. We will continue to see temperatures climb into the early stages of next week with highs on Monday and Tuesday reaching nearly 60 degrees. This has been your 90.3 WRST-FM weekend weather forecast. That will be it for this week's edition of Week in Review. I am your host and WRST News Director, Jacob Link. You can listen to 90.3 WRST on our website at 90.3WRST.org or the Radio FX app. To listen on the app, make sure you type in 90.3 WRST or University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. Also, make sure to check our news website at WRST.org for local news updates throughout the week. I'm News Director Jacob Link signing off for Week in Review. You're listening to 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh.